All right, good morning from Greenbelt Gardens. It's August 2nd, and we're going to be taking this propagate that we had from last year's crop of a blue bell, or not a blue bell, of a bell pepper, and we're replacing it in this 10 gallon. So right now he's in a 5 gallon pot. We're going to move him into a 10 gallon, but I need to get this soil prepped, get some azomite and some tomato tone in it and some Gro-wool, and I'm going to take all this stuff off. So just give me a few minutes to get things situated, and then we'll get started planting this guy. All this I'm taking off is just the previous mulch. It's all dried out and spent, still usable. But we'll put brand new mulch, cedar mulch from Texas Native on top of that. Bring this guy over here too. So since this is already a 5 gallon pot and this is a 10 gallon, I'm going to empty out this soil in here. We're going to work this. I'm not going to be using all of it. So we'll use a good amount so that it gets put into the center and around the sides once this guy gets placed in. I'm going to try to leave him mostly intact. Hopefully he'll slide out, slide right in, and then we'll fill in around him, in and underneath him. We previously grew broccoli in this particular potted plant. We had a very hot summer, hot winter, mild winter, I guess you want to put it that way. Our summer last year went well into November. We're still seeing 80 to 90 degree temperatures consistently into November, and it just really messed up all of our winter plantings. They don't like it that hot. And then once it finally did get cold enough, we had an attack of some rodents, some rats, and a family of mice that ate all of our lettuce and broccoli crop. I think we only had one broccoli survive, and it was the one that ultimately ended up in this pot. And while it did provide us some very small broccoli sprigs, it just never did anything more than that. But we had to take care of the rat problem, which we did. Our dog Jasper took care of that for us, actually. Got a hold of the rat one day whenever we were out here trying to find him, and into Mr. Rat. And ever since then, we really haven't had any rat issues going on. We still have bunnies that kind of make their way in. I don't know if you ever noticed it, if I pointed out in videos previous, we have fencing up, like chicken wire fencing along our backyards. Actually, all of our backyards do, since all the houses on this street back up to a green belt, which is why we have our namesake Greenbelt Gardens. And so to keep out snakes and other critters, that wire is up. It does a good job, but squirrels and possums and other things still know how to climb. They do a good job at that. Snakes still come from the front yard, rabbits still come from the front yard. They cross the street from the neighbors across the street. They also have a green belt. We have a green belt that surrounds this entire street on all sides. So it's only a one way in, one way out kind of thing. throwing some of these wood chips out of here, these big wood chips. Break the soil up as much as possible. About half of this I'm going to put into another pot just to get it out of the way, maybe less than half, and then I'll supplement the rest of this soil with some tomato tone and some azomite and some gro-wool granules. I'm saying that 3 times fast. We only need about half of it. I mean, this guy's going to pretty much stay intact the way he is. Hopefully I'll be able to slide him out, get him into the pot, and then fill in around him, and that's all we really need. Just a supplement. In case you can't see it, the guy already has a pepper sneaking in on us. I've been trying to clip off all the little flowers to continue to get him to grow up. You can probably see this was all that was propagated. I think it's probably in the way now. Yeah. So from the base, this was all that was propagated for him, just this little thing. And we managed to continue to protect that for the winter. Had him in the greenhouse, and he just did nothing but survive. Stayed green, looked healthy, just nothing ever grew on him. And then at some point, like I said, before we came, or just after we got back from Rome, or from Greece, he started having little bitty leaves that were forming on him. And so just in that time, right, we got back from Greece at the beginning of June. So in 2 months' time, he's done all this, and he's already produced his first little bell pepper. I may go ahead and just let that continue to grow, just to see how big it gets. But this is mostly just to get him out of that 5-gallon pot, get him into something bigger, his root structure can grow out a little more, and have more nutrients to carry him into the fall. Oh, goodness. We have a friend. Nice big lizard. Look at you. You look beautiful. All right. I know. I'm freaking you out. Come on. Good job. You got to be careful what you pick up, even on your back porch. You've had snakes. You've had lizards. You've had rats. They all show up. They're all hidden into things. Which you would think that would cause us to want to keep a tidier situation, but it isn't always the case. Sometimes things just stay messy. So this is just a 5-gallon cloth pot. I think I will supplement what's left over, and then we will go from there. All right, so azomite first. Stuff clouds up pretty good. You wouldn't want to do this on a windy day because it does. It's very fine. Let's see if we can get a shot of how that looks. Very fine powder. I'm going to use about half a cup for the 6 gallons here. If it's a very windy day, this stuff will get all over the place. It'll get in your eyes. It's probably not what you want. So, azomite is just a mineral mixture, micro mineral. That'll help provide minerals into the plants and into the soil. They get washed out over time. You know, rain and constant watering will do that. Same with tomato tone. We're probably going to put about 2 cups worth in here. And this is just going to be eyeballing the mixture as it comes out. If you've never smelled tomato tone, it is the greatest smell in the world. No, that's horrible. It smells nasty. It smells like poop. But yeah, tomato tone, organic. Azomite, also organic. soil mixture is going to be organic, and then we're going to add Gro-wool to this as well. So Gro-wool is just wool from sheep. Gets sheared off. Anything that's extra as a byproduct of that whole particular production of wool can get used for this. So Gro-wool is just bunches of little pieces of granulated wool that comes together. You need to break it apart so it gets a little separated. But it has wonderful water moisture retention, and it also has micronutrients that are in the wool itself, as well as the ability to aerate, because once these start to shrink up, they leave little pockets of air in the dirt. That gives roots the opportunity to come in and fill up those spots without having to fight through the ground, or fight through the dirt. So it provides an opportunity. All right, so I'm going to mix all this up. I put maybe, that would have been about maybe 3 to 4 cups of Gro-wool in there. It's usually about a cup per gallon that kind of gets measured out, that I measure out. So it just depends on how you're doing it. I'm going to scrape the wool a bit with my fingertips against the dirt, see if I can get it to separate a bit more. You don't want it to be stuck in big chunks, just because you don't need that big of an airspace. So the smaller that you can kind of break it up. You can also use Gro-wool for seedlings. But you need to shred that up, and the best way to do that is with a food processor. To shred it up with a food processor and some water, and it becomes really kind of stringy and gets pulled apart really easily. And you mix that in with your seed mixture, and it can take the place of you using like coco coir, or actually it's supposed to take the place of you using what's that stuff called? It's right over there, peat moss. So the Gro-wool does a good job of replacing peat moss. It's very much of the same characteristics, but it does have the added benefit that it carries nutrients, micronutrients inside the Gro-wool. So peat moss doesn't give you that, doesn't have any nutrient benefits to it. It's just a great medium for soil for seedlings to grow in and to start in, but then you'll have to continue to add mixtures of fertilizer to provide nutrients, which you still have to do regardless, but you don't have to do it as often. The Gro-wool will help provide micronutrients into the soil, and they do it over time, so it's a time release in which that happens. It's not direct. It doesn't harm the root structure of the plants like over fertilizing might do. Liquid fertilizer could burn plants and burn roots, ruin the plant. So we're trying to do our best to experiment using Gro-wool in certain applications just to see how well it does and see if it's something that's beneficial to us. I mean, we bought a big package. It's a 45-pound bag. I want to say it was $120 with it being shipped. So not necessarily a cheap product, but it can go a long way. I mean, that 45-pound bag probably could have done, had we done them in all of our beds, we probably could have done at least 2/3 of all of our beds with that 45-pound bag, at minimum. Still got big chunks, just kind of breaking them up as I see them. I don't know if you can hear them or not, but we have a new batch of baby hawks or falcons that are hatched about a month ago. Now they're getting bigger, they're getting noisier and noisier. So they're screaming at each other every once in a while. You just hear them getting into verbal fights with each other. That's cool. Siblings being siblings. I'm sure my siblings and I never argue with each other. All right. I'm going to spray a little water on this too, just to keep things together. Actually, I'm not. I'll have to water it afterwards anyway. All right, here's our mixture. Got our gro-wool, azomite, and tomato tone in it. This is probably 5 to 6 gallons worth of soil. Hopefully that's the case. Let's see how successfully we can pull this guy out of the pot and into this guy. We got this 10-gallon fella here. I'm going to put a little bit of the soil mixture on the base. Work smarter, not harder. Just end up making a mess with my hands. Spread that around. Decent sized base. A little more. Put that other non-mixed stuff aside if we need it. After we empty this out, we can add it back to this and continue to add a little more as needed to make sure this guy is topped off. And for my next trick, prayers in the chat. Look at that root. Good job. Put him in here. Make sure he's centered up best he can be. Good job, pot. Did your job. Try to do something else. All right. Now that he's in, then we can start filling him in. Over here so you can see the mess I made. There we go. Too much. All over my feet. Alright, so yes, we are going to need some of the other soil to help supplement. Shoot that down, let it kind of compact. I think with that though, put that in there. Add just a little bit of tomato tone. This mixture as well. Probably about a quarter cup of azomite for this leftover bunch. Since I'm not expecting so many of the roots to be up here, I'm not going to add any gro-wool to it. It's going to be here. Mix this in really good. I want to fill this up quite a bit before I put maybe about a 1-inch topper of mulch on it. Leave a small air gap up top. Or I say air gap, but just space gap in the top. But I want him to be as full as possible. That helps keep the structure of the cloth pot in a circular fashion. If you just left it like this, eventually you have the cloth pot to start to come in on itself. Don't like that. Like it to stay fully round, uniform. Helps out with watering. If it's like this and all of a sudden you pour water on there, it's just gonna sheet off and your plant doesn't benefit from that at all. So having enough soil to push against the sides of the cloth pot helps keeps it round. Official start. I can use mulch from here on out. I may prune off some of these bottom leaves as well, just to get them away from the soil area. After I commit some of our stuff to it. So we use Texas native cedar mulch, locally sourced from here in Central Texas. The Austin Wood Recycling Company is what handles most of that. We have a facility that's actually really close to us in Hutto, Texas. So it's not much for us just to go pick up directly from the recycling center. Not to throw shade on Lowe's or Home Depot in that regard, because we could buy these products easily from them as well, but sometimes we just love supporting directly from the consumer or from the manufacturer themselves, which in this case is closer to us than a Lowe's or a Home Depot. This is probably less than 5 miles from our house, so we can go pick up 20 or so bags and get ready for the new season. So yeah, we like it. Supports Texas businesses, supports farmers and landowners who are providing the opportunity for the recycled trees that get processed there, and there we go. All right, so this is our friend, our lone Propagate from last year. I don't even remember what type of bell pepper he is. I guess we'll find out once this little guy gets a little bigger. Let him grow. he's ready to go. So that's potting up, 5 gallon to a 10 gallon. Hopefully he's gonna like his new home. I'm gonna put him in his spot before I water him, because if I try to water him and then carry him out there, that's just guaranteeing me a hernia. So, in 1 minute. I think I'll just bring the camera with me. Take it off the little base. Run, lizard, run. Water out here. We're gonna put him right back where he was. That way he's at home with his companion plants and the marigold and the basil and whatever this plant is. You know, just water everything. Get him nice and soaked up for his new home. This will compact over time too. So the idea that we, seemingly topped him off with soil and with the mulch. As we continue to rain and things kind of dry up and continue to water over time, the soil will compact. This will kind of shrink a little bit, and then we'll see how much more space. We probably need to either add more mulch or whatever to help keep the circumference of the cloth pot. But that's it, folks. I want to say thank you for joining us at Greenbelt Gardens on August 2nd. It is a Saturday. Just out here another day in the garden, trying to get things moving, keep them growing. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye.